What's up guys, welcome to Talking Poodoo, a Star Wars show, and today I am reviewing Star Wars, The High Republic Race to Crashpoint Tower by Daniel Jose Older. This book is set during the events of Star Wars The Rise and Storm, like right smack bang in the middle of those events, towards the back end actually. And it's all about a new Padawan called Ram Jomaran, who works at this tower. He's a Jedi Padawan. He's very interested in mechanics and engineering, much more than he is in people. And he discovers the Drengia on this planet. He discovers the Nihil on this planet. And he goes off to investigate, and that's where the ball starts to roll. So what did I think of this book? Well, let me first say that this is a young reader's book. It's not aimed at someone of my age. It's not aimed at a large Star Wars audience. And I think it nails the target audience that it's going for, because the book is very simplistic, very straightforward. There's not a lot of depth or detail here. And I think that's going to appeal to the younger audience who just want to get in, get the action, go home. So, with that being said, I did not like this book. I thought this book was a little too simplistic, a little too straightforward. It lacked depth, it lacked detail. And I think going forward, I'm going to have to not read these younger books because they're clearly not meant for me, and they're not adding a huge deal to this High Republic world that we're seeing. This is very much a side story that does not add a lot of detail there. It doesn't add anything that feels pivotal or important. But there are enjoyable moments in there. There are some good action moments. There are some good comedic moments. And overall, what this book does is it just introduces these characters. It introduces Ram Jomaran. It introduces Lula. It introduces the other characters, Nika I think she's called. And I would like to say I like these characters, but Ram is really the only one that gets a good amount of development. Lula does as well. But the problem is they are very straightforward, they are very simplistic, because they can't be too detailed because the younger reader needs to understand them. But all we ever really find out about Ram is he likes mechanics. He's not that good with people, he's a bit awkward, and that's about it. He doesn't really develop as a character much, except that at the beginning of the book, he's with all these like droids and aliens working on machinery, and then at the end of the book, he's like, you know what, I'll go explore. Slight spoiler. So the point is, the characters don't have a lot of growth in this book. And if you remember The Rise and Storm, the second half of that book is essentially one big battle. And this basically adds to that. Most of this book is, again, one big battle, because it's taking place in that battle. It's just giving you a new perspective on it, somewhere else, a little further away. It adds the Drengia into the mix as well. But again, this is one big battle. There's not a lot going on there except just lots of action. It does show us like aliens coming in where they have to ride them and manipulate them and avoid them. There's some good action moments in there, good thrills. And there are moments where it does cross over with events of The Rise and Storm, where Ram, for example, meets Ty Yorick. It turns out the person in the cell in The Rise and Storm was Ram. We kind of already knew that, but now we see it from his perspective. We see what happens after they ran away and fled the scene. And it's very interesting and cool to see different perspectives of scenes we've already seen. But I do feel like it's a little underutilized. That really is the only crossover here. There is moments towards the back end where you get little bits of dialogue, but nothing major. So it does feel like a bit of a wasted opportunity. And Lula's story, which though the first half of the book kind of sets it up as if it's going to be somewhere completely different and focusing on something completely different, it kind of just feels forced in. Her character, in fact, feels forced in, to the point where she has very little resolution towards the end. There's very little character arc. In the end, she's just there to help Ram. That's her sole purpose in this story. And her backstory, the information about her, she wants to be like one of the greatest Jedi ever. So when she meets Vanessa, she's like, oh god, you're already a Jedi Knight and you're so young. So that's very interesting that she's got to come to terms, deal with that basically, come to terms with it. And that's all really interesting, but again, doesn't it get explored enough? But let's talk about the Drengia, because if you read The Rise and Storm, the Drengia aren't in it. They're barely even mentioned in it. And yet here, they are a very pivotal part of this story. So what's up with them? Well, it turns out the Drengia were planted there by the Nihil. There's some suggestion there that maybe they're working with the Nihil, or maybe they're just being used and weaponized by the Nihil. It's a little unclear how that union came to be. The Drengia, it turns out, feel like they're being used a little bit. but it's disappointing that the Drengia, who previously were established as this huge threat, this big danger, and so big that there's a whole other storyline going on with Ava or Chris who's having to deal with them, where there are battles with the Drengia going on outside of this main storyline with the Nihil, it seems. So it's disappointing that the Drengia here are just angry monsters who want to eat people. That's it, that's all their character is displayed as here. So a little one note, a little disappointing, and the fact that they are being used as weapons rather than them being their own character with motivations and goals and so on is disappointing. I thought the Drengia were just going to be more significant and relevant and important than what they've turned out to be in the High Republic so far. I think it's especially disappointing when you consider the fact that the Drengia are the enemy of this book. There's no like main antagonist here. There's no like villain, this like figure who I can't like say right, such and such is the villain. Instead it's just an entity, the Drengia, the Nihil. So that's okay, but when you end up depicting them in such a straightforward one-note way, it does become lacking in interest. So because this is taking place in the High Republic era, and because it's a crossover with events of A Rise and Storm, there are certain characters who pop up who we've seen and know already. Venestra, for example, who's turning into one of my favourite characters in this High Republic era. Venestra is showing up here. We get to see her being much more of a master figure to Imri here, where she's also working alongside Lula. The problem is that based on the timeline of events, the depiction of Venestra here just feels off, in that she feels much more confident and much more capable than what we ended up seeing in the recent book Out of the Shadows, which set after this. So I don't know, it's a bit odd. It doesn't always feel or sound like the Venestra I know from the prior books. And Ty Yorick is another character who shows up here who feels like she's much more cocky and confident than what she was in The Rise and Storm. Although she was cocky and confident there, but it felt like much more lackadaisical, like, oh, she just doesn't give a damn. This one, it felt like she was just like a bit more, had like a cheeky grin on her face all the time. And it was just a bit odd. It's like, right, the depiction of these characters is not quite how they were depicted before, and it just doesn't feel quite right. And with that, that is my review. I'm not going to go into any more details about this. Race to Crashpoint Tower is aimed at a young audience of children, so I think they will really like this. It's a sort of book you can pick up, read, enjoy, have a couple of laughs maybe, and take in some of the action moments, and put it down and never think about it again. It nails that. That's exactly what it's trying to be. That's exactly what it does. The story is very straightforward. There's some enjoyable moments. The characters are very straightforward. There are some enjoyable ones in there. If you're looking for something a bit more depth-filled and a bit more detail-filled, this is not going to do that for you. And if you're really wanting to dive into the High Republic time period, this isn't going to be a good one for you. This is very much a side story. It's not all that important or relevant, it doesn't seem at least. All this really does is it introduces the character of Ram Jomaran, who we got little teasers about in the prior books. I'm not sure if he's in the comic books at all. But yeah, that's all this book does that seems important, is to establish these characters. And with that, I hope you've enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comments and feedback what you thought of this book. And subscribe to my channel for more content like this. If you're watching on Talking Poodoo Star Wars channel, guess what? You're in the right place. You get this content before anyone else. If you're watching on my normal YouTube channel of Grant Burton, well, go over to Talking Poodoo, a Star Wars channel, to get it a few days earlier if you really, really want. The home of all of my Star Wars content. Star Wars, Talking Poodoo, a Star Wars channel. And of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Grant Burton. Until next time though, thanks for watching.